Hey folks, Allison here. Well, today I want to talk to those of you who feel overwhelmed emotionally. There's a lot of that going around, right? You may have your own issues, your spouse may have issues, maybe your kids are struggling, maybe your neighbors, people at church. We hear constantly sad stories, terrible things that are going on in the world, and wars in Ukraine and everything else, and you may find yourself getting really, really zapped. Now, those of us who are higher in empathy, and that's my number 2 strength with the Clifton Strengths Finder, number 2 is empathy. We have to really be mindful of where we're using our emotions, where we're using that empathy, because it's very easy for it to take us down. It's an asset, but it can really be a negative for us. So one of the things I would suggest, and this is something that I have found helpful, many people have a financial budget, right? You kind of know how much you're spending on rent or mortgage, how much you're spending on food, how much gets put away for savings, how much gets put away for entertainment or vacations, all right? All the miscellaneous costs and things that you need, right? It helps. People who work with a budget tend to do better, right? You need to have an emotional budget. We need to know our limitations and set the proper boundaries. So, for instance, as a therapist, over the years, I've dealt with a lot of pain and suffering. And because I'm high in empathy, I feel everybody's pain. So in my emotional budget, there is nothing for sad movies, negativity, anything about the Holocaust. I don't want to see it. In fact, every time I've watched The Sound of Music, I have loved it, but I don't voluntarily watch it because I hate the part with the Nazis. That's how much I have to protect myself, because I know certain things are going to get me down. So create an emotional budget. Now, how much are you going to set aside? How much time are you going to set aside for positive things? How much time are you going to set aside to nurture yourself? All right, with positives, with things that are life-giving for you, with things that are exciting for you. You need to really look at your life and say, all right, how much time am I putting into maybe other people's problems that really are not my problems? Now, again, having sympathy is one thing. Having empathy, we're really feeling it with them. Know where others end and where you begin. All right, you are responsible for yourself, obviously your spouse, your children, but to a certain extent. When people make bad decisions, you have to decide how much of that you're going to take on in terms of feeling bad or getting involved or whatever, especially when they keep making the same mistakes. Now, I'm not saying that in a blaming way, but some people kind of almost leech off of others, wanting to draw people into their problems, and that's their own thing. But you need to set certain boundaries. And like I said, have an emotional budget. So how much time can you put into maybe volunteer work? How much time are you going to put into entertainment? How much time are you going to put into spirituality? Maybe go into adoration, positive spiritual reading, things like that. Take a look at your life, and if you are constantly overwhelmed or you feel like you're on the edge, then something needs to change. Now, it may be helpful if you're really, really struggling to work with a therapist, because often when we're overwhelmed or we take on other people's problems, it's a way of maybe kind of working out our own problems that haven't been worked out. So sometimes we would need therapy for that. But sometimes a coach can be helpful just in setting boundaries and setting goals for yourself, so that you kind of can create that emotional budget and that space for the positives. Again, not that we want to be cold and turn off the empathy. Again, if that's your strength, that you're not going to be able to. But to know, all right, I don't have to take that on. I've many times, like, somebody will call me and tell me something negative about somebody else, not negative, but a problem somebody else had, and I have to say, wait a minute, I just need you to stop, because I can't do anything about that, and it's getting me overwhelmed to hear it. So sometimes you do need to put that boundary, because some people like to just share that all the time. Know your limitations and reach out for help. If you find you're getting overwhelmed, it's just like on the plane, put the oxygen mask on yourself first. Then you're going to be able to help other people. But again, Where do other people end? Where do you begin? What are you responsible for? All right, we are not responsible for solving everybody else's problems. Now, we can be sympathetic, but put certain limits on it if you find it's overwhelming you. Hope you find that helpful. Again, reach out to a therapist if you find that this is getting to the point where you're actually depressed, maybe anxious all the time. Then you need to be working with somebody. And if it's just a matter of like setting better boundaries, a coach can be really helpful for that. So both links are below this video. I hope you find it helpful. And all you wonderful, empathetic people, I feel ya. I know it's tough, but again, we can really set certain boundaries and do a lot better. It doesn't have to take you down. It's actually a beautiful quality to have, but don't let it take you down. God bless.